So we want to welcome everyone to tonight's last installment in our fall assembly for the Wisconsin Network for Peace and Justice. Hopefully people enjoyed that vignette about the origins of the group and what motivates people to be part of our network. And I'm John Peck. I'm on the board of WNPJ for Family Farm Defenders. I actually joined the network back in the early 90s as a campus activist at UW-Madison during anti-war movement back then, long ago. So for those who might know, tonight's theme is about growing peace to make war obsolete, which I think is a really timely topic for our current situation right now. And we have two guests on already for this evening. So we have Philip Anderson, who's with Vets for Peace in the Duluth Superior area. He's a retired reservist, has also been a public servant and very involved in the union environmental political peace activist. He also writes for the Duluth Reader and Middle Wisconsin News. We're glad to have him on tonight to share his views about militarism and how we can grow the peace movement. And also with us is Lizbeth Ramos, who's with World Beyond War at UW-Madison. And I've just been really impressed. I happen to teach at Madison College and really involved with the World Beyond War group at Madison College as a faculty advisor for students there. So I'm sure Lizbeth will have lots to share about what's motivating students these days to be involved in the peace movement and all the actions and work that they're doing right now. Just as an introduction, some of you may know that there's a new documentary about George Orwell coming out soon, which I think will be really interesting for people to check out. He was not a pacifist, as many of you know. He actually learned a lot about totalitarianism when he was in the British colonial military police force in Burma. And then he also fought in the Spanish Civil War against, well, he's a classic premature anti-fascist. He fought in the Spanish Civil War on the side of the Republicans against fascism creeping into Spain. But many of his books obviously talk about the importance of people questioning power and the big brother. And we are certainly in big brother times, I would argue now, where we're being told that, oh, well, not to quote Orwell directly, but war is peace, freedom is slavery. I mean, we're in this strange world right now where anyone can become a terrorist. And I think it's Noam Chomsky who once said that the big army calls the little army the terrorist. But I mean, you can become a terrorist just for protesting a pipeline. You become a terrorist for resisting ICE officers abducting people in your neighborhood. So part of the challenge is how do we resolve conflicts without resorting to belligerent militarism, collective punishment, state terrorism, which seems to be the default setting for our world. But at the same time, I mean, people do have the right to protect themselves and defend their communities. So how do we thread that needle in our discussions about building a peace? And, in the absence of war is not peace, of course. I mean, we have all sorts of structural forms of violence and oppression going on in our society that need to be worked on, whether or not we're actively at war or not. So I'm hoping tonight we can have a good conversation about how we can actually build a culture of peace in our current war fixated society. And hopefully we can find some inspiration from our speakers. And we want to make sure we save some time for Q&A at the end so people can share their thoughts and build upon this conversation. So I know Phil is ready with a PowerPoint to share, and perhaps you could kick off and Lizbeth can follow. So I'll turn it over to Phil Anderson.
Well, I'm bringing up my PowerPoint here. Can everyone see that? It seems to be cut off at the top there, but
no, it's fine. That's just on your screen.
Okay, just on my screen. At any rate, thank you for inviting me to come and speak. And I'm going to try and be short, but I have a tendency to become long-winded. So have you ever wondered why our country is so often, so frequently, almost ubiquitously involved in killing people on the other side of the world in one way or another? Most recently, we're blowing up civilian boats in the Caribbean. why are we so frequently supporting other countries, providing the weapons and the financing for their military actions? And obviously Gaza and the Israeli genocide that's been going on there for 2 years and is still going on despite the peace efforts, is a prime example, as also is the war in Ukraine. But we can't afford, or we're told we can't afford, to have the things that other nations provide for their citizens, the public goods, the health care, the child care, the affordable education, affordable housing that other nations have. But there's always plenty of money for the Department of Defense and for the next war. Well, we at Veterans for Peace believe that we're addicted to war as a nation. Militarism dominates our national thinking, our foreign policy, our domestic policing, and that's happening more and more frequently with the Trump administration, and the national spending priorities. And this thinking continues to get us into no-win wars and to do nothing but kill and maim people, waste resources, damage the environment, and increasingly create more national debt. My slides are not changing here for some reason. Okay, that got it. What is militarism? Well, militarism is a set of beliefs. It's a way of thinking, and this regards to the preparation for war, and it says that war is normal and desirable social activity. Militarism is the belief that war is justified, and that especially when you're talking about economic interests and foreign trade interests. War and preparation for war is normal and desirable. Militarism results in an excessive emphasis on the military and national affairs, and it's characterized by excessive spending on military preparedness, which we'll go into in a minute, aggressive foreign relations with other nations, especially with threats of military action, a propensity for using military action to resolve international conflicts. We believe, at least our nation believes, that military action solves problems, which of course it doesn't. It creates more problems than it solves. Militarism is also characterized by the glorification of war and military service. And quite obviously, you see that in our culture all the time. Everything from video games to Hollywood to football and aggressive sports activities. We glorify war. And it also subordinates all of the other societal needs that I just enumerated to those of the military. Militarism also exalts military service as the highest expression of patriotism and service to your country. We don't think of patriotism as being service to your community, like teachers or doctors or nurses or highway repair people or any of the other public servants that we have. And yet the military is nothing more than public servants. They are hired by the government to do certain tasks, and they're paid by the government with tax dollars, just like our state and county and city employees. What is militarism? I should say I'm getting out of track here. We have the most powerful, best equipped, and most technologically advanced and most expensive military in the world. And you would think this would be enough for our security, but it apparently is not. We spend more on defense than the next 10 military powers in the world combined. Over half the annual budget, what is called the discretionary budget, goes for the Department of Defense or similar kinds of activities. Diplomacy, that is the State Department, receives a meager 3% of that budget. We have over 800 military bases in 140 countries around the world, the largest of any nation ever in the history of the world. None of the other nations, Russia, China, come anywhere close to having the world dominance that we do. The State Department has only 168 foreign embassies and 83 consulates. 72% of all federal employees, you know, those nasty deep state bureaucrats that we have to get rid of, 72% of them are defense related. And that would be the civilian employees of the Department of Defense, the active duty military folks, which are pretty close to 2 million active duty military under the Department of Defense, and also the Veterans Administration employees, 72%. The Department of State has only 1% of federal employees. This stark disparity between the funding and support for war versus the diplomacy is clear evidence that we value military action over cooperation, negotiation, peace, and peaceful conflict resolution. And this is not just my opinion. There have been many, many veterans over the years who have commented on this type of thing, and I'm just going to give you a very quick rundown of a few of them. General George C. Marshall, World War II hero, later Secretary of State, the author of the Marshall Plan after World War II to rebuild Europe. He said, "The guarantee for a long continued peace will depend on other factors in addition to military strength. The most important factor will be to develop goodwill, faith, and understanding among nations." Contemporary military veteran, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, currently retired from, I think, 24, 25 years of service. Military power is the least likely instrument of national power to be successful. Ronald Reagan, there's a liberal commie peace activist if we ever had one, right? He was a military veteran of World War II. He spent all his time in Hollywood making training films, but he was a veteran. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Another contemporary, Lieutenant Colonel William Astor, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. He does a lot of writing on the internet, on blogs, in magazines and so forth about American militarism and the American excessive military budget and things of that nature. My country has long been addicted to war, killing and violence and the massive preparations for more of the same. We need an intervention. We need to confront our addiction. And this brings us down to the alternatives to militarism, alternatives to our warlike stance. And the quote I'm bringing up now is with Colonel Andrew Bozovich. He was a Army colonel veteran of Vietnam, combat veteran of Vietnam, and a longtime critic of U.S. foreign policy and militarism in our country. He's written numerous books on this subject, and he's the founder of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. He's an excellent resource on this topic. He says an alternative approach far more likely to yield positive results is a reformation of American exceptionalism. And exceptionalism is the notion that we are somehow special. We are better than the other nations in the world. We don't have to live by the rules that they do. But anyway, a reformation of American exceptionalism based not on muscle flexing in faraway places, but on modeling liberty, democracy, and humane values at home. What a strange idea. I should mention that militarism has been throughout our history, and mostly since World War II, very bipartisan. It did not make any difference whether you had a Democratic administration or a Republican administration. The wars went forward, the defense budgets increased, and the illegal, shameful, inhumane actions of our government continued apace. What are the alternatives? Well, Colonel Bozovich just gave us one, but what we really need is a culture of peace rather than a culture of militarism. We need to change our thinking. Oh, what's going on here? I don't need that. We need international cooperation, negotiations, arm controls treaties, and the support for international law. Something that the United States has violated numerous times over the years. We pay no attention to international law except when we want it to apply to some other nefarious nation that we're having a conflict with. International institutions like the UN, the world courts, must be strengthened and supported. Peaceful conflict resolution should be the expected norm and not the exception. National security based on military power has not worked. It has failed to keep people safe. It has failed to prevent wars. National security based on military power is an illusion. Our nation's security becomes another nation's insecurity. And this fuels armed races. When we have the most powerful military in the world, everybody else is in that shadow, and they have to fear what we might do to them. And that creates, of course, insecurity in those countries as well. We need a common security. We need to work together with nations to see to it that everybody is secure, not that we are secure and everybody else is insecure. And I'm going to take from Lizbeth's a little bit here, perhaps, I hope not. World Beyond War is the organization that has the premier, most comprehensive, best plan and explanation about how you can actually do this. A very practical, realistic plan to actually achieve cooperation rather than military dominance. And that is in their document, their book called Global Security System: An Alternative to War. This booklet lays out 3 strategies for humanity to end war. One is demilitarized security that I just talked about. The other is managing conflicts without violence, and that gets into a whole realm of all the nonviolent cooperation and conflict resolution things that we do with each other all the time. And then creating a culture of peace, like I talked about. We need to stop thinking in terms of military being heroes, being necessary to our defense, being the people that brought us freedom and democracy and all the rest. All of that is garbage. Historically, it's not true. The real people who have brought us and given substance and meaning to our freedoms are the activists, the civil rights workers, the abolitionists, the women's rights movements, the labor activists, the environmental activists. These are the people who have actually given substance to our Bill of Rights freedoms over the years, over many years and many struggles. And these are the steps to dismantling the war machine and replacing it with a peace system that provides a more assured, more likely to work common security. And so that ends my lecture here. If you, I'm going to try and bring up the World Beyond War website. And this is the page that talks about the alternative global security system. That's what the booklet looks like. It's about a 8.5 by 11 and about a ½ inch thick. It's a very good read, very easy to browse. But you can download a PDF version for free down here, and you can also download a short, about 14 pages summary of this document, which is easier for you to print out and read. And I would greatly recommend reading this book, getting a hold of it and reading it. It is awesome. So that's ends my presentation. I'm going to stop the share. And
well, thanks so much, Phil. That was
yeah.
great. I
Thank you.
see we have the links to the World Beyond War website are in the chat. So, and it sounds like that resource you just mentioned would be a great holiday gift option for people, because it's the type of thing that we need to be thinking about alternatives to our current war-based machine monopoly scenario, which is what you were describing. So I know we have Lizbeth is with us too, I believe. So I'm wondering if you would like to share. I don't know if you have any program you want to share, if you'd just like to speak with us about your experience with World Beyond War. And
Yeah, I have a little presentation of just like
oh,
we're
great.
doing specifically on this campus. So I can
Mhm.
share
Super.
that.
And for those who may not know, there is going to be an anti-war cafe happening this Saturday at the crossing on near the UW campus, 1127 University Avenue, which is going to have a lot of young people will be at that. So I've been to many of those. It's a great event to go to. I can put the details in the chat later. So, oh, great, we're seeing excellent. It's working, Elizabeth. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I'm sorry, something's okay. There you go. So what we do, so yeah, as you know, World Beyond War, we have three main objectives. It's peace education, the direct advocism, and media. So oh my God, why is it not moving? Okay, some of our recent efforts, we've had a week of action for a free Palestine. So I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a whole week. Every day we took some steps, whether that was chalking, having a vigil, protesting, having a walk. We did that for an entire week. Our anti-war cafes, as you previously mentioned, we try to have them once a month, but with everything going on and our week of action, we are now having them about once every 2 months, but I think we're gonna have one this Saturday, and then we will be having another one in November. The date's not solidified, but we will be having them continuously. We have our climate marches, our war abolition walks, vigils at farmers markets, no war, no genocide vigil, and we are currently working on our UW-Madison registered student organization.
Okay.
Okay. What we're working on right now is our registered student organization, getting that up and running, like completely and on its own. We are also working on, of course, our anti-war book club. I think that is up and running at the moment. There's just some days that we have to solidify. Divestment research with specific professors and outside of campus. We're working on bringing attention to all wars just because there has been a really big streamline on Palestine because it is in the media so much and it is a really big important topic, but we kind of established that there are more wars going on and there should be attention to all of that. We have our upcoming anti-war cafes and screening of anti-war films here at the campus at Marquee, which is our like big campus movie theater. Next, yeah, so I think the biggest thing we're doing right now is our registered student organization. We're focusing on the peace education and the media aspect with that. Just because we don't want to take away from World Beyond War and the Madison chapter, they do a lot of the direct action and peaceful protesting. So we're just trying to fill in the gaps. We're having bi-weekly teach-ins about different world wars around the world that are not in our current headlines. So like Sudan, Congo, Ukraine, wars on drugs, Myanmar. Yeah. And we want to start providing our own media coverage. So videos of the anti-cafes, awareness to other wars that aren't in headlines, answering why there is war around the world, and really diving into like the history and the why of everything. Our biggest thing we're trying to do is defining the problem in order to define the solution. Why we think it's important. It creates dialogue and transparency, not only within ourselves, but also on the campus. We're trying to hold our chancellor accountable. We're trying to hold the people in charge of divestment and in charge of the billing and the budgeting. Yeah, we're trying to hold those people in power and accountable, and we're trying to build community solidarity now and in the future. And that's all I have.
Oh, that's great, Lizbeth. So I think at this point we usually we're gonna go into a Q&A session, but usually we stop the recording just so people can have a little bit more space to say what they wish without. But the recordings for all these this whole week series will be available to anyone to watch. They're mostly just of the presenters. So I think we'll ask Vicky to stop the recording now. So again.